especially over the summer where I don't have to do much cooking. And through these new products and ingredients, it all comes down to promoting healthy, sustainable food. And with that, I work very directly with our internal champions. You cannot do any of these things that I have accomplished without internal champions, which there are the director of purchasing, the director of food services, our managers, and my cooks. We do 3,500 students a day, and I need all my cooks to be on the same page. Can I see myself? So there we go. So what we've done at Vanier with the new renos, which will be online in by mid-October, it'll be on a PowerPoint, and you can see the proof in the pudding. We've mentioned UBC Farm. I work very directly with our farm. We're lucky, but if you don't have a farm on campus, you can still work with your suppliers. I'm pretty sure that most of us in our university setting or college setting have the power, meaning money, to get what we want. I know there was times from one of our suppliers that he was sending me potatoes from Washington State. Once I got them from Florida years ago. So we just made the phone call and said, you better pick it up, because I have evidence I can get BC Nugget potatoes right across the street. So once they know that they're going to lose money, they'll jump in. With that in mind, we do a lot of interaction with our suppliers. We let them know, we push them, we involve them. Look for these items that we want that support local food. It's very important because we need to close the distance between the farm and the tray. We must sustain to maintain. This is not a trend, this is a fact. I just came back from a conference in the United States, a chef's conference. There was well over 200 chefs, Penn State, Florida, California, New York, and about 10 of us from Canada. And then the third year in a row, this conference deals on healthy food that matters. All of us are on board on this. And a lot of these operations that I met, these chefs, they have contracted suppliers. And they work around that. We work very directly with our student groups, because any good chef does not feed his culinary ego. He feeds what the student wants. Believe me, I have a budget to meet too. Labor and food costs. We all have to be realistic and make it work. With that in mind, we are very vocal about going local. Through my efforts here, I've now been involved with the Think and Eat Green at School project. That's a research project through UBC, where we want to maintain and build up relationships in these K-12 schools where they're going to use local food, urban gardens, being sustainable. I'm also on the advisory board with Farm to Canada Cafeteria with Joanne Bays. I'm on her advisory board, and we work very closely together to help anybody we can to give them what we do. For what I do, it works because the students want it. It's not that they don't want it. I'm feeding what they want in my budget. A good chef has to be flexible, adaptable, inventive, and think on his feet. That means to say, if a student says, I don't like squash, well, you haven't prepared it properly as a chef. We roast squash. We'll make hummus out of squash. Students love hummus. You can find all these ideas through websites, Food Network, magazines. The key is you have to be realistic and do what you feel is best, which means for us here at UBC, we don't follow the trends, we start the trends. That is why myself and other chefs here at UBC are constantly being asked to do what you're asking me to do today. And this is by the help of the students. I learn from them as much as they learn from me. I work very closely with UBC food projects, seeds department, nutrition department, dietetics department, sustainability department. We have constant meetings and we try to make things work. It wasn't my idea to bring in local tofu. It was through UBC Food Projects that did a project, a research, and they showed us that buying local tofu from the island, GMO-free, organic, locally produced, would save on the carbon footprint, and it would save almost 23 to 30% of my food cost that we would bring in their tofu. And it's been a huge seller. Same with when we brought in, through the Food Project Students Sustainability Department, they started a project about buying in local apples, organic. First thing we said was, well, it's going to be very expensive to the students. And it's proven. They'll pay if it's good. So we now went from 6 cases of regular apples a week from New Zealand, Washington. Now we're bringing in 12 to 14, 15 cases of local organic apples from our region here in the interior. And that's because the students want it, prefer it. They're willing to pay for it. They only complain if the food's no good, if it's not done properly, has no flavor, has no variety, isn't fresh. They'll be very happy to pay more for something that they want. I'll stop at that point. You can ask questions. I have more to say, but I could go on for days.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's great to hear just a snippet of some of the people that you're working with. I think that's so important to hear, that you're working with students and the internal champions to make this change. So yeah, let's open it up to the floor. So Cam. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm curious about you saying that students want it, because at our institution we recently tried a local sourcing initiative, and unfortunately we had to charge a little bit more if you wanted local chicken or beef in your stir fry, and the sales didn't go very well. And Willie and Rodney, our chef and our director, said that it was largely because there's an education issue, because students don't understand and appreciate the value of local healthy food. So I'm wondering if you guys have any sort of education initiative, whether it's run by Dining Services or another organization on campus, or if you think that students coming to UBC already have some knowledge of the importance of local food.
Good question. Okay, first thing I'm going to say is this. There's a survey research firm out of Chicago. It's called Technomic. And about a year ago, I got this information. And it stated that 44% of students, when deciding their college university setting, they look at the food. Is it fresh? Is it local? Does it meet their dietary needs? Is it ethnic? What is the variety? That is a selling point for any good university college. We get constant tours of parents coming and they check out the early part of the year before they come to school. What do we serve while we're during the school year? And they ask questions. Is it local? Is it fresh? Because their students want that. Yes, students who come to UBC are educated what we do here because we advertise it, we market it on our websites. Our menus will state, this is local. I have a mission statement that states, this is what we bring in from UBC Farm. I won't just write roasted heirloom carrots. I write roasted heirloom carrots, local from UBC Farm, with local BC honey from Chilliwack, etc., with fresh ginger roasted. That sounds better than carrots. So you have to market it, and food literacy is very vital. They need to know. It takes time, but it's worth the effort. Now my cost is probably a little less than the cost up north. But I know there's a lot of farms up north that are cheaper than maybe myself. But you have to educate them. It's baby steps. Can't be done overnight. Because if you go too fast, too quickly, you'll make mistakes, and then you'll regress.
And the survey you mentioned, the 44%, what was the source of that, if you wanted to look at
That's called, it's a survey company out of Chicago. It's all in the hospitality industry. It's called Technomic. And they have constant information. To follow that up, I just came back from a conference, as I said, in the United States. And this is what Technomic has come up with again. These are important facts. That it's important. Students want to know. It's important to the students to honor the seasons. They want to have what's in season because it's cheap and it's flavorful. They want to see food. I'm reading my notes. They want us to use food to import the world in their foods. They want vegetables to have craveable flavors, not steamed. roasted, grilled. This is all surveys. They want colors that pop. They want a rainbow of food. They're saying to us that also, survey says 1 in 5 of students are vegan, vegetarian, and or flexitarian. They're saying that 34% search the internet to source nutritional info. 36% want to manage their weight. They're saying that 18 to 24-year-olds are the social eaters. They look on the website, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. 67% want grab and go. Here's one. 38% avoid at least one cereal product. The majority want fresh, taste, and variety. They want presentations. They want what we were told in this conference, culinary theater. That means they want it cooked in front of them. They don't want to think that it's being cooked in a batch for 300 people, sits out front in the steam table, and it sits. They want, like I said, culinary theater.
Thanks so much, Steve. Good facts there. It's always useful to have some real data to bring forward. It looks like Sammy's got a question over at Dalhousie.
Yeah. Here at Dalhousie, we have, we're a little bit unique. We have 3 different service providers, but our main one is Aramark, and we recently have been talking to Aramark about where their suppliers are and where their distributors get their producers from, etc. And it's been going fairly well, but our director of food services has been very unwilling to let us speak with his chefs because apparently they're very busy over the summer doing menu planning. And I was wondering if you have any advice for whether or not we should try and go directly to the chefs, or is there any way to help convince our director of food services that it's crucial to get our chefs on board?
Well, it's very important for the chefs to be on board, because any good purchaser is buying what the chef wants. If the chef doesn't tell the procurement manager what he wants, they're not going to bring anything in. My question is, how long has that chef been in that operation? I hate to say this, how old is this guy? Does this guy want to change? Does this guy want to be flexible? Does he want to adapt? Is he solely worrying about his final cost? It's very important you meet the chef. We all know, I know for a fact, chefs can be very blunt and they don't have time. But, for example, my menus are done. I'm opening up in a month and a half. He's still working on his menus. It makes me wonder what he's been doing. We all have holidays, I know that. I'm maybe out of the norm. I'm not like the regulars, like these other chefs. But my menus are done. My recipe book's done. 95%. I'm tweaking here and there. But you need to talk to the chef. He tells the procurement man what he wants, the manager. Okay? So if you can call him, talk to him, then you may upset the director, but you say, look, why can't I talk to the chef? Be honest, be polite, say, is there something to hide? Like, I just want to ask him some questions. He's working for me, isn't he? I don't work for him. The chef is cooking for the students. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah.
But you got to be polite. You don't. No chef like someone coming on the door going, "Hey, buddy, what up?" You got to say, "Do you have a minute of your time? I'm not here to criticize. I'm not here to be judgmental. I'm here just to ask some questions. I don't know. I want to learn. I want to be helpful."
Okay, that does help.
Great. Looks like Emma's got her hand up. Go for it, Emma.
Yeah, I just have a question.
Oh, I just want to follow up on that chef question, actually. I don't know, Emma, if you were going to say something about that. But I was wondering, so when you're approaching that chef, if you're not sure how much, I don't know, for example, how much our chef knows how much is local and sustainable. It's different from you. But I guess the things we can learn about are what's your process for making your menus? Where do you see opportunity for flexibility in what you could be making?
Well, I think the first thing is you got to have a creative chef that sees more. Food is like a palette of colors. If you're an artist, chefs could be artists. He has that palette of all the different colors. If the chef has 3 colors, get rid of the chef. You know, food is a rainbow of colors. So what you do, once you know, let's be honest. I've been doing this for 37 years, 15 years here at UBC. I'm constantly looking, learning, and teaching myself new ideas. That's why I go to these conferences. I buy cookbooks once a week practically. I have subscription to 2 magazines, food magazines. I'm always learning. I just saw something recently where they're putting in shaved Brussels. I hate Brussels sprouts. So I just saw at Costco, of all places, a salad mix where they use baby kale, cabbage, red and green carrots, shaved Brussels sprouts with cranberries and pumpkin seeds. I go, what up with this? I got to try this. Delish. Totally cool. Now I'm going to incorporate that in my menu. Any good chef should be always watching what's going on. I always say this. Any chef who thinks he knows everything is a combination of a fool and a liar. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on out there, excuse me. Food is fashion. Well, I think we all don't dress the same way we did 20 years ago, do we? Unless you're going retro or whatever, consignment store, sorry. But food is fashion. All good chefs have to stay abreast and stay ahead of what's coming on. That brings in customers. You bring in students, customers, you're making money. The chef keeps his job. So I look at my farmers that we have on campus. I read the availability list, the commodities report. I see what's coming up. I honor the seasons. I won't bring in asparagus in January. It's too expensive. And it's not even that good anyway. So I look at what's seasonal and use it to keep my food cost in line and to get the best value, flavor, and nutritional value. And like I said, internal champions. I get pushed by my purchasing manager. I get pushed by my director who wants to increase our local produce by 2%, 5%. Last year I increased it by 38%. The year before I increased it by 78%. We are already a fair trade university, the first fair trade university in Canada. We came in years ago, 3rd overall in vegan preparation of menus, 3rd overall in vegetarian preparation of our menus. That we focus on and market. Students come to this campus because of those ideals. You see? So that just is like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 equals 3 for any chef to realize that. We're constantly upgrading and building new restaurants on campus because of the quality of food. Like again, baby steps. You know, you can't bump. Okay, there was a good article from LA Times 2 years ago. Revolution in the schools. They wanted to change the food in K-12. They went overboard. No pizza, no hamburgers. They made vegetarian food with quinoa patties with a red bean, black bean, hummus, etc., etc. Too fast, too much. You give them a pizza, but make it a multigrain, a whole grain. Use low-fat cheese, low-fat matzah. Use fresh tomatoes in season. You know, use low-fat turkey breast, etc. Give them that. Make the burgers. We make burgers, but they're 83% lean meat. I have French fries. The oil's trans-fat free. I give them sweet potato fries. I give them mayonnaise. It's majority low-fat. You get my drift? So you can't, like, you don't want to do stealth health where you're hiding it. You want to tell them what it is, use food literacy, show them how important it is for their health. Healthy mind, healthy stomach equals healthy marks. If you're falling asleep in class because you're eating this heavy mashed potatoes with salted butter and thick gravy with butter and flour thickening, you might as well just go to bed right away. You're going to be falling asleep. You have to cook healthy, which is the way it is now. Come on, look at all these food trucks here at UBC. We just got a food truck that's coming up. UBC, Vancouver's famous now for its food trucks. We have 119. We're second in North America after Portland. We have our farmers market. They want to have a farmers market here. We do have a farmers market, sorry, from UBC Farm. That happened just last week. That's why I was behind on that. And we promote. We have a thing here called Meet Your Maker, where I do demos next week for BC Blueberries, and we're going to be doing demos to student faculty, and we'll go on YouTube. McGill, look at McGill. My God, Olivier, the chef, I met him last year. They do everything on YouTube. Like, I want to do that here, where they take the truck to the farm near the campus, have their chefs in uniform, marketing, pick up the food, goes back in the kitchen. Now the chefs are cutting the food, showing how they do it, how they cook it, and then present it. Talk about advertisement. I've been bugging my people to do that too. All on YouTube. All you students are social media aficionados. I'm a little bit behind. Social media is the key. Go on YouTube, promote it, film it, put the menus up on the boards. Facebook. All these things is what you do. What we need to do.
Sounds great. Those will be some really great resources for the students to pass on to their chefs, because I think
show them that YouTube thing. I tell you, I saw that, and I met Olivier. It is awesome what he's doing over there. He's kicking butt.
Awesome. He'll be at our National Student Food Summit, so we'll make sure you let him know that.
Tell him I sent you.
Okay. Emma, if you want to ask your question?
Yeah. I had a question about your response to Sammy's question there in terms of the menu. So I guess our situation is a bit different in that Aramark is pretty well brand new as of May to the MUN campus. But so you were saying, like, obviously you work really, really hard, and like you're not the regular chef at, you know, Canadian. You're not the typical chef at a lot of these campuses. But you were saying that even by now, to not have menus done seems pretty late. So I'm just wondering, you know, even worst case scenario for finishing menus for a dining hall that say we have about 1,000 resident students who mostly eat in this dining hall every day, and so we've had a similar response, and like we can't do anything right now for another month because we're working on menus. So what do you think would be, like, just, you know, latest possible time you would still be doing that, even if you were? Do you have any idea or just suggestions? Like, I'm trying to get an idea if they're really working on menus or.
Well,
yeah.
You're asking me when you can visit them, or how long it should take to finish the menus normally?
Yeah, or like even if you were, yeah.
Yeah, see, that depends on the chef again.
Yeah.
Not everybody's like me, I'll be honest. So I work nonstop. My busiest time is the summer.
Yeah.
Because now here's another thing these chefs don't all do. As I open in September, and when something on my menu doesn't sell, I take it off. I don't keep pushing it out on them. And in my backup, I have maybe 60 to 120 backup items I'm going to slide in. And as the year goes on, my cooks call me Steve, because we're all chefs. And when one of my guys says to me, "Hey, Steve, I got a good idea," I go, "What do you got?" "Why don't we do this, 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 this?" I go, "Let's try it tomorrow." We'll try it tomorrow. If it's in budget, if it's available, it's in season, we try it. If it sells, boom, it's on the menu right away. Another time during the school year, and I keep a journal, and that'll be used for next year.
Okay.
I usually have 10 to 20 pages of items during the school year that we do little sample. We do like something new, something flexible, something adaptable. And one of my suppliers says, "Hey, Steve, I got a whole bunch of flank steak." I go, "What's the price?" "Okay." So now one of my cooks says, "Hey, I got a great idea. Ancho marinated flank steak. You take lemons, you cut them in half, you roast them so it's charred, and that gives a really nice tangy flavor. It's sweeter, etc., etc. We take sweet potato fries. We'll add some Thai sweet chili sauce, some black sesame seeds, some green onions, roasted red pepper." I go, "Ka-ching!" We'll put that on a sandwich, and it sells huge. You see what I mean? You can't just write the menu and let it go for 8 months.
Yeah.
That menu has to be changed every day. What's in season? There's always a number of things coming up. I start my menus right away May 9th. When I menus, I have different stations. I have a pasta station, a sandwich station, omelet station. Everything is written up on the production sheets. We've even completed the recipe books, all in grams, metric. Now, I know my counterparts haven't got that far yet, but I want to get it done because I'm on holidays in 3 weeks. I'm not coming back to a storm. I'm coming back to a calm setting where I have to do other things. Today I have to do, this week, next week, themes. We do themed dinners at nights. But those themed dinners will be, like example, Moroccan. So that would mean one of the soups will be Moroccan, the pizza will be Moroccan, the lunch special will be Moroccan, one of them, not all of them, dinner, etc. I keep a file. I keep a file on all these ideas for the last 13 years, 15 years. Plus, I'll be honest, I have a very good memory. So I will now do that in the next few weeks. So it's already printed up on our production sheets, our menu, and that'll be printed on the website for the students to access. But his menu should be done by now. Like, come on, next week is already mid-July.
Yeah.
Plus, I have to go to my suppliers with my menus. I do this in advance. If I have a pumpkin-seeded Tuscan bread, I want to make sure I have that available. If I'm making my menus with these items, I talk to my suppliers in advance. I meet them every week, even in the summer. I go, hey, Joe, I'm putting on this. You have it? Yes. What do you have new? My suppliers see me in April and May with all new items. And they can still see me over the school year with new items, and I change the menu. Again, food is fashion. You don't wear the same clothes every day. You can't be eating the same food every day. That's why we have, like, I think 8 or 9 stations here, and we change the menu every day, and we have backup recipes and menus.
Great, thanks.
So we have a question from Wes. Wes, just want to check if you are able to speak and have connectivity to ask it yourself. If not, I can definitely.
It's possible that I could come through clearly. Great. So I actually, thanks a lot for making time to educate us today on the inside issues. I was going to ask about safety regulations, and some people believe that things like bake sales, as small as bake sales, have been canceled by the administration under the auspices of safety regulations. I was wondering if that's something that's even possible, and actually how students, like a certain document or other source where students can best educate themselves on their health standards. Could be Ontario, but other provinces, of course, would be interested in different sources. And the complication of carrying meat as a and whether or not that simply just adds more complication, or is that a realistic thing for student groups to try to do?
I think we need to clarify that question. We heard something about
Food safety?
Food safety and meat regulations. So,
yeah, and just the challenge, the barriers to student groups. Like, are they limited simply to vegetarian recipes, or should they try to take on the complication of handling meat products?
Well, for me, I never had an issue with that because all our suppliers have to meet our stringent guidelines. We don't buy meat off the back of a truck. All our meat is federally inspected. Our poultry is federally inspected. We don't buy anything off Joe Smith down the road, if you know what I mean. Everything is watched. We are also ocean wise. Our poultry is halal, and our fresh poultry, by the way. And we deal with companies that have a great plan, safety plan. Our director of purchasing, Victoria Wakefield, is amazing. Some of you have met her, Sarah, Caitlin, and Tiare. So it starts right with that. So a student has never really, well, in the past, students have come up to me because they're not very educated, and they'll ask me where this from and where this is from, and we teach them. That's no problem. We have nothing to hide. We're very transparent and honest. If you're not honest and transparent, that usually raises the alarm. Something's going on. But I can't see any chef using something that isn't regulated, that is food safe. It's suicide. It's professional suicide. And for a student to ask, that's no problem. I've done that in the past where student groups come up to me and they want to know where I'm buying my pork from and my meat. You know what I do? I set up a meeting with my suppliers, and the supplier can tell them what they want to know.
when you say you set up a meeting with your suppliers, is that a contact directly with the company that supplies meat?
Correct.
So for us, if we have Cisco as a supplier, does Cisco then buy from other different distributors, so we would be meeting with a Cisco representative, or?
You would probably meet with the Cisco representative if you could get in the door.
Okay.
They're not always easy to be approached. Okay, but your My Meat. Again, UBC food system projects, they have met in the past with our seafood suppliers. We've even done a tour because UBC Farm wants to have a fish farm. So we went with their professors and some of their students. This was in May. I set up the meeting and the tour, and I went with them, and they were very honest and transparent. Good companies want to promote. They want to show off what they're doing. Don't get me wrong. It's those who don't want to see you have to wonder, what is this guy, what does he not want to talk about? What is he not wanting to show? Okay?
Very much.
Thank you. Sarah Jane, go ahead. Oh. She's going to unmute herself.
Sorry about that. So I just have a question. I've actually never eaten at a UNB cafeteria, and that's one of the schools I represent. And I've eaten maybe 3 times at the Stew cafeteria. And it's usually just sandwiches. But what kind of percentage or what amount in a regular cafeteria might there be of like frozen food and like pre-prepared veggies? So like we have a salad bar and the carrots are in these tiny little matchsticks. Like how important is that sort of pre-prepared food, and how expensive is it compared to sort of food in its regular form?
I'll be honest, we do buy frozen peas. I can't afford my cooks at their wage, union wages, to sit there and get the peas out of the shell. Same with, you know what I mean? So the corn, same with the corn.
Yeah.
But in the beginning of the 2 months of the school year, I'm bringing in, oh my God, 100, 200 pounds of green beans, yellow beans per week. The farm isn't that big enough that it can support my needs. So we do have to bring in some frozen veg to compensate. That's a fact. But a lot of the frozen veg, I've been told by my nutritionists and dietetics professors, a lot of this frozen veg is healthy for you. They have some good vitamin content. Prepared food. Okay, I do bring in a ready-made burrito. They love it. I do bring in 4 versions of a pierogi. They love it. I can't make pierogies. My cooks couldn't make the pierogies. For carrots, when it's in season and it's cheap for me to buy, I'll bring them in whole, leave the skin on when they're perfect like that, the heirloom ones, and they cut all day long. How much carrots per day? 200-300 pounds every day. Onions, we'll bring them in, spinach, etc., lettuce, we all bring in, they have to get cleaned and washed. At times when it's really busy, we bring in them ready-made, cut, chopped. It's cheaper. You have to look at the balance, labor and the cost of the food. Sometimes, most of the times, it's cheaper to bring it in already cut. Now I'm talking of a place that's serving 3,000 a day. Okay? So we mix it with the fresh. When I can get the zucchini in local and it's raw, like it's not cut, I'll do it. But by November, end of November, I can't get in zucchini from the farm. I have to get it in maybe from California or Washington State. Now I have to look at the carbon footprint, which I'm aware of. We do the best we can. I was getting in kiwi one time from Peru. You don't think I made a phone call and said, hey, George, what are you doing? I can get kiwi from local here. I send it back. Salmon, we're bringing in wild salmon. We cut it ourselves. The fillets come in, we don't totally do it ourselves because of labor. I pay a high wage here for my cooks. Again, we have to make our money too, or you won't see this logo, UBC Food Service. You may see my competitors, okay?
Thank you.
What I want to say is that catering companies and ourselves are here to make some money, to support it, to support the right thing. We're not the Salvation Army, we're not a soup kitchen. We have to make money to support our livelihood. I don't work for free. Do you work for free when you graduate? No. We're all here to make money and change the world. But you got to do it in baby steps, and you got to make sure you're realistic and not a dreamer. That's the key. Because I'll be honest, a lot of these other people, not me, they think of you as all dreamers, and you're not realistic. Okay? That's the key. Come with your stats. Come prepared. Look professional. I had one student come to me. He's wearing sweatpants and a T-shirt that said FCKU. What do you think I did? I kicked him out the office. Okay?
So when you say come with your stats, what kind of resources or stats do you think would be useful for students to know about when we're contacting
A survey. Get 100 students and tell them and say, what would you like? Build up a survey. We want this, we want that. When I first came here 15 years ago, they said all the dressings were high-fat, cream-based. How come there's no vinaigrettes, no oil-based? How come our salmon isn't local? How come our salmon is farm-raised? We changed. How come you don't have halal chicken? This is from the student groups. We listen to them. We tell them it's going to cost more money, and are you willing to pay? Or your parents or jack up that bank loan. So they know what they're up against.
So when you do surveys here at UBC, who composes those surveys?
The student committees. The student committees, those are the ones who are advocating changes. So you guys have to do the work. Don't just come on knocking on the door saying, I want to change this, this, this. I'm going to go, yeah, well, do some work. Work for what you want. I have to work for what I do. You need to work for what you want. You can't have this hit and miss approach. You're here 4 years and boom, you're gone when you graduate. You have to leave someone behind to follow up, to follow through. That's the key. Be committed, be dedicated. Leave a legacy. Don't just come for 4 years, I want better sandwiches, and then you leave. What about the next group?
Great to know. Continuity and keeping that transition smooth is really important. It looks like Ariel's got a question as well.
Yeah, hi. I was actually just wondering about what you were saying about buying from the UBC campus garden, because one of the conversations that we had with the food services director from Aramark at DAL was a concern that he had about purchasing food from the DAL campus garden that he could be purchasing from local producers. And he was concerned that if he were to buy from the campus garden where he could be supporting local industry, it's putting farmers whose livelihoods are on the stake at an unfair disadvantage.
Sorry, which farmers?
In our area, in
Nova Scotia.
So he or she says, don't buy from the campus farm, buy only from the local farms off campus to support them. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, they are buying some from the on-campus farm. He's just a little bit concerned about the ethics of doing so.
Well, survey says what? How much is if he's buying 20% from campus farm, he's buying 80% from the other farm, what's the big deal? The majority is being bought. Sorry?
I think he's worried about long-term, like if the university were to emphasize like growing the campus garden in order to...
Okay, how big is this? Can that campus garden support your university?
Not at this time.
Sorry?
Not at this time.
And I doubt in the future either. My farm is at 20 hectares. It'll never support me year round. I wouldn't worry about that. You're going to be able to use both.
Steve, can you give people an idea of what percentage of local food actually comes from the farm versus local food that comes from regional suppliers?
I don't have that stat right in front of me, but I can say that approximation from end of August till mid-November, 30% comes from the UBC farm, 25%. That's all they can supply me. We're talking hundreds of pounds. We're talking almost $800 per week on vegetables from the farm. Per week. They only come once a week, carbon footprint. The rest comes 2,000, 3,000 from, I'd say 1,500, 2,000 a day from my other suppliers, from our vegetable supplier. How much of that is local? 30%. Because you can't get everything that I want. My Asian vegetables are local, my potatoes are local, my herbs are local, my tofu is local. like locally grown. There's also the other word, locally processed and produced. You see, there is a difference here. And that you'll have to talk to, and I think Caitlin and Sarah have already talked to our director what her definition of local is. So I don't see the issue why she says that ethically we shouldn't be using the farm. I can see there's a food security issue, food safety, but if it's only a small percent, I don't know what she means by that, or he, that you can't use both. You're supporting both. It's best to support both, and the majority is going to the local farm.
Sorry, can I just ask a really quick follow-up?
Sure.
I guess for us, like, the Maritimes are kind of a shrinking economy right now, and there's a certain amount of sensitivity here about sustaining the local economy as much as possible. So I think it's not so much a question of replacing local producers with the on-campus farms, but it's more that when we're buying from the on-campus farm, those are crops that are basically being purchased with university money, and the students that operate those farms don't have a livelihood at stake. Whereas when we give money to local producers, they're real people who need that money. I
understand what you mean. Like, we support the local farmers as much as we can, but we're lucky we have this UBC farm, and because of what we buy from UBC farm, and their stuff is very unique. I'm buying 5 types of beans, fennel, and etc. The money that we've given him the last 5 years, he's now been able to build 2 new hoop houses. He's expanded his growing season. And the UBC farm, I've been remiss not to mention this, is first and utmost first a research farm for the Land Food System Department. So it's always been first a research farm, but it's grown with a farmer's market and buying and selling to restaurants locally and to me. It's grown bigger and bigger and bigger. But its first utmost is a research farm. But what are you going to do with the byproduct? They want to sell it, make some money, so they can reinvest in farm equipment, etc. Don't get me wrong. We use them, but I use them a lot. But they can never meet my needs. I need to support the local farmer, which I do. Totally agree with you on that. Their livelihood is my livelihood.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So maybe we'll hear 1 or 2 more questions. We've got Emma's got one.
And then we'll hear one from Chris. Or sorry, Wes.
Awesome.
Oh, mine's just like a really quick comment for you, Ariel. I wonder whether you could argue that sourcing additionally from a campus farm wouldn't necessarily be competing with a local farmer if you're, instead of replacing what you're purchasing from a local farmer, you're replacing what you're buying from away, because like you're definitely not sourcing everything locally. So like you're competing with the non-local suppliers if you're not replacing the local suppliers. You know what I mean? There, like it doesn't. I don't think that like his or her argument that like I think there would still be other things you could replace from non-local farmers so that you're not competing against them. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah. Although wouldn't it be the same crops?
It could, yeah, it could be, but then you could also think about like sourcing more seasonally. Then like you don't need to be. You could be sourcing more of those seasonal products and less of what isn't in the way.
For sure.
Can I read something?
Sure.
This is for you groups out there that are with these certain distributors. I won't mention their names. You know who those 2 distributors are. Main distributors in British Columbia, and they have it out east too. And this is right off from our director of purchasing. Both distributors have been incredibly influential in helping us reach locally sourced growth. At our scale of supply, we would not be able to hit these numbers without them. We do a sustainability report card each year that measures several sustainable sourcing categories, including as free range, hormone-free, halal certified, local growers, non-GMO, etc. 1/3 of our total sourcing is with these 2 distributors, and last year we grew our number of local grown products by 14%.
Wow. That's great to know. Actually, some of the students have meetings upcoming with Cisco, so that is exciting.
If you talk to them, they will listen. They want that contract. They want that money. We're not the only school doing this. Everybody's doing this, especially in the States too.
Steve, can you, is this sustainable report card a metric that's available like on the internet or like from other things, or is it something that UBC created?
That is something that UBC created through Vicki Wakefield, which if you want to copy or talk to her, you'll talk to her. She's very, like our Victoria Wakefield her nickname is the Queen of Green, and I've been called her Kermit. So between the two of us, we do what we know is right. So I'm sure she would be glad to talk to you and get you more info on that with the numbers.
That seems like it would be a really great resource for us to use.
Yeah, I would love to follow up with her on that.
Well, what I just read you was from the meeting with Victoria, myself, and Caitlin in her office with Sarah. Remember that?
Yeah.
I have that report right here. That was on Wednesday, June 5th, 2013 at 9:54 a.m.
Awesome. So we have a bit of a different question for you, Steve, coming from Wes at Carleton, who's just having a bit of connection issues, and was just wondering about aesthetics and food and drawing on your metaphor of food as fashion, how it is that you work with sort of less conventionally shaped foods, things that aren't symmetrical, that are typically picked up or kicked out of the big markets. Do you work with those? How do you make that work for you?
Well, you know what I wouldn't say secret, what my way is that I take something that everybody likes to eat. Let's say chicken noodle soup, my best example. Everybody likes chicken noodle soup, noodles, chicken, broth, carrots, celery, peas. Boring. What I add is kale, Swiss chard, spinach, squash, etc. Everybody eats pizza. I'll take pizza and I roast it with certain vegetables with tandoori spices, a little yogurt, cilantro on top. Now I have like an Indian-style pizza. If I'm not mistaken, I think Pizza Hut, a main national pizza company, is now making butter chicken pizza. I've been doing that for years. So it works. You know, you have to import the food in our own food. I use these so-called items that students don't like. Well, you know what? They like them. Students and faculty and customers in general are very, very educated, thanks to the Food Network, thanks to the magazines. The #1 cookbook sold in bookstores are food-related books, cookbooks. So I'll use a certain ingredient that everybody likes, a certain recipe, a certain item, and I'll jack it up with what's available, what's fresh, what's healthy. Does that answer your question?
I think, too, maybe a question of working with grade B apples or working with maybe lower quality, not lower quality, but just
crooked carrots or...
Crooked carrots. Okay, good. Here we go. Another fact came out. Students, customers prefer artisan-style food. They don't want symmetrical. They don't want, excuse me, they don't want cookie-cutter-looking stuff that you see at these casual family dining restaurants where you're getting stuff cooked by an 18-year-old. Sorry, that's the fact. So they want stuff that grandma used to make, that mom and dad used to make, that their grandmother made in the old country. That's what the trends, that's what they're showing us and telling us in these conferences, in restaurants. Everybody wants what isn't, what's the word, symmetrical, uniformed in shape. They want flatbread. They don't want that round pizza diagram shaped, blah, blah, blah. They want stuff that it was made by hand. And if it's made by hand or made by the earth, then it doesn't always look perfect. And that is what they want. Excuse me.
And where, other than from the wise perspective of Steve, where would we find like that information to follow up? Because I could see myself saying that to our chef or our food service provider and being like, oh, or even like my director of contract services, and he'd say, yeah, that's what you want because you're one student who's interested in that style. But like, which survey would you say?
You know what the best survey is? You look in the garbage pail. That's your survey. When I roast these vegetables, and I don't use a measuring tape or a ruler, and 1 carrot is 1 inch, and 1 carrot is 2 inch, the celery is 4 inch, and the kale is 1/4 inch, and I roast it with rosemary oil and fresh garlic and fresh herbs. I look at the plates coming back. I'll look in the garbage. That's my survey. If that garbage is full of those vegetables, adios amigo. I take it off the menu. But my garbages are empty. That's your survey right there. Any chef will always look at the end of the day, the end of the cooking period, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, see what's left over, and he can gauge firsthand and within the minute what is selling and what's not selling as a chef. That's our survey. Excuse me.
And Steve, just logistically, working with Cisco, are you able to have that flexibility to, I think something that we hear from the big food service providers is that they need all this time in advance to plan the menus, and it's tough to have that up-to-the-minute flexibility, but that's something you've been able to do?
Yes, because I'm not known as a nice chef sometimes. You ever watch Gordon Ramsay on TV?
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm his son. So I can be as mean as the next guy. One meeting I brought a box of Kleenex to the meeting, and I told these guys, I go, here's your box of Kleenex. They looked at me, what's the box of Kleenex for? I said, somebody's going to be crying pretty soon if I don't get what I want, and it ain't going to be me. Because we pay our bills on time. Our food sales are huge. That's power. When you use that power in the right way, you get what you want. You keep them on their toes. These guys you deal with, they're sitting by a desk on with a phone. They're not they're growing anything. They're just taking the phone calls. It's their job to follow up what we want. Otherwise, we'll go somewhere else. And some of these big corporations, I know firsthand, excuse me, I know firsthand, have lost some big contracts. I'm not going to say who, what, where, or when. They need our money. They need all your money. Okay? They'll do what I want them to do, what you want me to do. Remember that. It's not my culinary ego. It's what you want, what I want to give you, and then I tell them. And I need them. Those suppliers are vital for me to survive. They buy what I want. I don't buy what they want me to buy.
A great takeaway message. Everyone needs to be adaptable and creative, and the message needs to come through clearly. So, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm curious about different models of food service provision because UNBC is going through the food contract process right now, and we could be switching from a retail-oriented cafeteria to an all-you-can-eat or board program cafeteria. And so the impression I'm getting, Steve, is that the Vanier dining hall is a space where people with a meal plan can come in and have a little bit of a lot of different things. It's kind of buffet style, all-you-can-eat. And that's not the way that the CAF at UNBC exists right now, but that's the way that we're thinking about going. So we've heard that it can potentially cause a lot of food waste when you have all you can eat because people will just load up their plate and then decide they don't like everything. And it also kind of closes down a space on campus where you can only enter if you either have a meal plan or pay the fee to enter that space. And the other concern is that if there's students and residents that then have this all-you-can-eat meal plan, they don't have a kitchen to cook some of their own food and to learn a little bit about what it means to support yourself. So I'm wondering if you can comment on balancing education around feeding oneself and also giving people options for having healthy, nutritious food while they are spending most of their time studying.
You know what? All you people have these questions that are so long, and by the time I answer them, I almost forget the questions, but I got the gist of it. We don't have all you can eat. I don't believe in all you can eat. That's gorging yourself. That's just making, I hate to say, no, I'm not going to hate to say it, making a pig of yourself, trying to get your money's worth. Like going to Las Vegas, these buffets. We have a meal plan. You pay for what you take, either by the piece or by the weight. Okay? And you take what you want, and you can come back and take more. That's all about being sustainable, is it not? Not wasting. The amount of food we waste in this country and this planet is bad enough without what they're trying to do up there at UNBC. That's their reasoning. I don't know why, But we here, you pay in our operation for the dining hall. It's open to the students, faculty, and staff. Debit card, cash, Visa, meal plan. We have retail outlets where it's like a la carte, fast food, casual family dining. We cover all bases. But to have all you can eat, they used to have that years ago before I got here. Wasn't my change. And I heard from previous managers how much food was wasted. I wonder why they're doing that. Is maybe the question is all you can eat, you can, you know, you're getting value. We are setting up one station where they will help themselves off the buffet line for healthy food, vegetables, and some of the starches, which would be rice and or potato. But everything else is we're going to portion. But we're not going to give them a 14-inch, 16-inch plate. They're going to get a small plate to minimize the wastage and them eating with their eyes and not with their stomach.
Okay. I think part of the reason this model is being considered at UNBC is because our Director of Ancillary Services toured a few other campuses that had this model. I think SFU has switched one of their dining halls to this, and Mount Allison University on the East Coast has also adopted this model. And it seems like students like it. They like the flexibility and the variety, but it sounds like at Vanier Hall, you have an opportunity for students to get a little bit of everything, to have a lot of different choices, but that doesn't mean that you can take as much as you want of whatever you want.
Well, they can take as much as they want, but they can't. Like if someone comes up to me and don't forget, universities and colleges is a living learning lab, right? So, and so is my counterparts. I'm not the only campus here. I mean, the dining hall. There's another one. We're teaching them how to eat properly. Why they want to gorge makes no sense. So you can eat as much as you want, but you're going to get a roast beef 3-ounce slice. If that's not good enough for you, we'll give you another 3-ounce. If you want another 3-ounce, you got 9 ounces of meat. You want 2 baked potatoes, no problem, but you're going to be charged per piece. The salad bar is by weight, and this new station for hot vegetables, where they can help themselves. That's all healthy food. It's good you gorge on healthy food. I think that's the best way to gorge. And that concept was first seen in Stanford University, which gets a very, very high rating in the United States for their quality of food. And I can suggest this too. I do this all the time. Go look at other universities' food sites. Look at their menus. A lot of them are under construction. Mine isn't put up yet. Mine's ready in the office, but it's not on the website yet. But you can see what these other guys are doing, and I'm a little surprised that they're doing that. Mount Allison and SFU. I don't know their reasoning. Everybody has a different reason. Some people like blue, some people like red. You know, I don't know who's right, who's wrong. But I know at UBC our mandate is from our food service directors that you can get as much as you want, but you paid for it, and you're not going to help yourself, except on that new hot vegetable station, which I will be filming in a few months' time in mid-October, and then you can see what we're doing. And you can help yourself to salad bar. Again, healthy food.
So that you pay a base rate, and then you can take as much as you want?
You have well, now you come in something I'm not totally proficient in. We have 5 plans. Okay. And you can pay, don't quote me, $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, $34,000, I don't know. It all depends on what you eat. Like the athletes want the varsity plan, et cetera, which is the highest plan. But I always suggest you take the medium plan, and you can always add on more money. You know, that way you don't get stuck with some leftover cash.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really tough for me to argue against our Director of Ancillary Services over the next month and a half, but I'm going to try.
Is this an SFU?
No, this is at our institution, but he's been talking to the guys at SFU, and he's convinced that all you can eat is the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. When I see Willie soon, I know he comes in town once in a while, and
yeah.
I'll talk to Willie. I go, what up?
Well, it's not Willie, right? It's
no.
The Director of Ancillary Services, so we're dealing with the institution, not UREST. But,
yeah, but he can give me some insight, confidentially, and same with the people that he works for, Compass, with those people. And I don't know, that's a little different.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get Willie and Rodney and maybe some people like yourself to tell our director that all you can eat is not necessarily the best way to go on a campus food system.
Well, that's my personal opinion.
Right.
You know, that's my personal opinion. I can get maybe some more feedback from our director why she doesn't want to do it, and maybe that would help. You know what the best thing is? I highly recommend that all of you come for tours down to Vanier Dining Hall, and you can see that I'm not just shooting the breeze, but I'm actually talking the talk and walking the walk. Oops, that's a cliche.
Yeah, I think our director toured the campuses he wanted to see and maybe forgot to tour the ones that had different things.
He did come to mine, though.
He did? Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if he did or not.
No, I don't think he did.
Yeah. They don't want to see the good.
Well, I mean, anyway,
sorry, it's a joke.
We have to hop off here at Dal, so we're just going to say thanks, Steve. That was a really interesting talk.
You're quite welcome. Anytime, always. You know that.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Yeah, we should probably wrap up here in the next couple of minutes. Steve, wondering if you had any sort of final words of wisdom, or if there's a pressing question or comment here. And yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll sum it up in a few words, okay? If you're going to do healthy food, you have to have, as I said, craveable flavors. You have to have flavors in color. It's in the technique, grilling, roasting, not steaming. You want to make the food a rainbow of food. It's important to honor the seasons. Use what's in season. Cheap flavor. Talk to your people. Talk to the chefs. Talk to your directors. Don't give up. It wasn't easy for me either, but once it was successful, look at the avalanche that's happening. I'm constantly talking about it, and we're a very busy operation. Don't give up. It's worth the fight. You're doing what is right. That's why you're young. I'm old. You're all young ones, so you have lots of time on your hand to follow up, to go ahead and do it. You know, you're the future, okay? And all I can say is good luck, and if you ever need any more information or help, tours, come by. I'm always available and be glad to help in any way, whatever possible means I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's so wonderful to have such an accessible, open champion on the ground, and really great to have you meet the students and listen to their long questions and answer them with such insight.
You know, one thing I'm gonna leave with? I'll leave with one more thing, and that is you have to have passion. At my age, I'm in my late 50s, passion rules. Money doesn't rule. If you youngsters, I'm going to call you youngsters, you have that passion, that nice smile I can see now on Sarah, that will help you maintain and achieve what you want, okay? So you keep that passion, that dedication, commitment, you'll be shocked how much you can achieve.
I feel like we need to give a clap or something. It was so great.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're quite welcome.
Well, it's great to have you as a resource, and we look forward to seeing those videos and what's to come in the next little while, and look forward to sharing what everyone else is doing here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Thanks, guys, for hanging out. We really appreciate it. And have a great week. We must see you soon.
And thanks, Chiari, for helping get Steve online with us and trekking out to UBC.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, we couldn't do it without her. She's great.
Later.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah. Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.